I do have to ask you a question, though.
Yeah.
Publishing in this very fascinating climate. Are you afraid of the big bad internet wolf? Because I know a lot of the other publishers are starting to feel that maybe they're going to go the way of the newspapers and the record industry with the Kindles and the Nooks and this and that. So are you embracing that? Or are you just not caring about it? Do you think it's just something?
Yeah, because you're the upstart man.
Well,
you might be making the best buggy whip in the country, according to Danny DeVito.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, our publishing company was made possible by the internet. Like, we started 12 years ago and started from word of mouth, and we're able to get our product in front of customers, in front of consumers, because of the internet. Like, we're very aware of the power of it. And, like, I've basically been spending the last 3 to 4 years thinking about ebooks pretty much nonstop. Like, it's, like, at the forefront of my, like, where's publishing going, what's happening, I've been pretty much thinking about it nonstop, and I'm cautiously optimistic that no matter what the technology delivery platform is, there's still going to be a market for people who want to read, and want to read science fiction. And the publishing industry has gone through these changes before, where the main delivery mechanism has changed. Like, at the turn of the century, pretty much books were sold in bookstores. And then in the 50s, there's a big changeover, and mass market paperbacks like reinvented the way that books were sold to a wider audience. And somewhere in the last 20 years, the distribution of mass market paperbacks completely broke. And, it used to be...
Unless it's in Walmart, it's nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be you could go down to your drugstore, your supermarket, wherever, and find artifacts of written culture. You could find science fiction. You could find Chip Delaney at your local, supermarket. And now, you can't find science fiction novels anywhere but the bookstore.
Right. And Amazon.
And Amazon. And that's exactly it, right? Amazon. It's that new venue. They're like the opening salvo in, fixing the broken book distribution problem.
Well, it was fascinating to us. Eitan and I, fortunately, we're also in the business, and we had our book release party at Barnes & Noble at the Grove, and the events manager said to us, "It's amazing to me how much traffic comes in here for science fiction and we don't recognize it. So I'm putting my foot down. We're having a book release party for a science fiction book, which we've never done here."
Right.
But it was a real recognition of the fact of what you're saying. There's a big audience out there who loves this stuff. And how twisted is it that you're not celebrating that, with your events and things like that?
Well, to a certain extent, I think it's... there's an author who articulated this better than me, but I think that science fiction won the war, and that people don't necessarily self-identify as science fiction readers anymore, because they don't have to. They can, get that thing that's... It used to be you had to read science fiction to get that special thing, that sense of wonder, or however you want to articulate it.
Right.
But now, every video game, most of the movies out there, everything has science fictional elements.
That's a very good point.
Comics, manga, anime, wherever you go. Or fantasy. But even written fantasy, science fiction and fantasy, that sense that you could get from either Conan or Heinlein. Those things are now everywhere else. And science fiction won the war and made itself irrelevant to a broader culture.
I love that idea.
Which no longer has to, self-identify as a science fiction reader. Kids, these 12 or 13-year-old kids who, want this stuff, no longer have to go to the science fiction section in the Borders of Barnes & Noble to get that. They can be playing,
in fantasy worlds,
Left 4 Dead, or whatever online games they want to play, or
Halo
video games.
27.
Halo, this is a perfect example of how science fiction won the war.
And towards, they take the Halo books, or they take all these books, the Doom books, they turn the games and turn them into books. So the question is, because we only have about a minute left, what's up next for Nightshade? Other names possibly that our readers our listeners should be looking out for, or new stuff from Paulo? What should we be? What's going on with Nightshade?
Well, I've got Paolo Bacigalupi's short story collection.
Right.
Pump 6 was originally a hardcover. That's coming out in trade paperback in November.
Okay.
And I have 2 new series that are coming out at the end of the year. Mike Stackpole has American Revolutionary War with Dragons.
Woohoo!
And that's going to be awesome. That's called At the Queen's Command.
Mike's great.
And I have Catherine Valente, who just won the Norton Award for Best YA Novel, and she's up for a Hugo. I have a new series coming out from her. It's called Habitation of the Blessed, and it's based on the Prester John legends and myths. And it's
he actually was out there?
Yeah. And it's actually, and it's actually kind of told in a narrative, a found manuscript narrative.
We found him!
Kind of a found manuscript narrative, like the original legends in the 13th century, where there's this manuscript written in the 9th century. It was a total fix-up, kind of made-up media stunt back in the 12th century. And so she's kind of playing around with that tradition. except it's a total like balls to the wall kind of fantasy book. Or sorry, it's a total like really gripping fantasy novel.
Thank you
and
very
so
much.
that's coming out in November as well.
Well, you know what? You publish books, Jeremy, but you are actually, and it's kind of cheap cliche, but you're like rewriting the book on kick butt, showing up with these hot talent and new ways of doing things, and you're the type of guy we love talking to.
Thank you.
Because you're a game changer, and we really love having you on NeverEndingPanel.com.
Thanks
you so
very
much.
much.
For doing this,
It's
brother.
great being with you guys. Thanks.